You've worked the moves, rehearsed the beta, and now it's time to send. But instead of feeling confident, you're suddenly flooded with nerves. Your hands sweat, your mind races, your climbing gets sloppy, and reaching the top hold feels more impossible than ever. That's send anxiety, and if you're a climber, you can probably relate. I'm Alex, and in this video, we'll be having an honest chat about the mental side of climbing. I'll walk you through a few strategies that help me manage these feelings, trust my body, and enjoy climbing when it matters the most. And to put them to the test, I'll be taking on one of my current bouldering projects right here in Pas de La Casa, Andorra. Let's get to it. If you've been around this channel for a while, you might already know that I actually competed in gymnastics for 17 years, reaching the university and elite levels in the United States. And this summer, I'll be hitting my 11-year climbiversary. Even though I've been involved in sports basically for as long as I can remember, the mental aspect, or send anxiety as we like to call it in climbing, is something that is an area that I am constantly working on improving. This topic kind of came back up in my mind when one of you guys here from YouTube reached out to me on Instagram earlier this season. Hey Alex, I also follow you on YouTube. I'm bouldering in Horsepins 40, Alabama right now, and I really want to do a problem. I know it's within reach, I'm just super nervous and I can't get over the thought of not being able to do it and being sad. Do you have any suggestions on how to get over this feeling? Thanks a ton. Reading this message kind of got me thinking that it doesn't matter whether you're climbing V2, V13, you're climbing indoors, you're climbing outdoors. We're all kind of here in this same battle trying to do the best we can with our climbing. So my very first tip, to start off any climbing session, I like to pick out a climb, regardless of the grade, that I know I can do successfully. This goes beyond just warming up. This, for me, is something that I just find enjoyment in doing, and I find that it sets the stage for the rest of the climbing session. To be one of the most beautiful boulders we have here in Pas de La Casa in its grade range, and just look at that view. Tip number 2, reduce the fear of the unknown. Something that I've seen climbers of all levels doing is they'll give a flash attempt at a climb, work most of the moves, think, yeah, I could probably do that, and then they'll start giving sunburns. This can be a great strategy in certain circumstances, but you really want to be honest and ask yourself, am I avoiding this move because I'm subconsciously afraid of it or the fall that it might involve? And number 2, am I avoiding this move because I'm not 200% sure that I'm going to be able to do it? If you've answered yes to either of these questions, I highly recommend that you take the time to step back and invest in working those moves so you can kind of clear up that cloud of uncertainty before you start getting sunburns. The boulder that I'm working today is called the KO. It's a 7C plus or V10. It shares a common entrance with a V9 that juts out left, but my version is going to be following up this arête all the way up to the top. You've probably already noticed that I am by myself today, so I'm going to have to make sure that I am comfortable with this fall because that last move is pretty spicy. Yeah, nice. Pro tip, always do the top out. One of the other cool things about this boulder is that it is super beta intensive, but it can go from feeling extremely difficult, if not impossible, to not too bad, which is another good reason to always rehearse your beta. I was able to do all the moves warming up, so that's a good sign, but the real game's about to start. So let's talk about tip number 3. Accept failure and accept that failure is okay. Sending is a bonus. The goal is to try hard, not be perfect. And here's what I said to the climber that reached out to me. I often struggle with the exact same thing. Learning how to manage those feelings and thoughts is part of the game. Some days I do it a lot better than others. I always remind myself of two things. The climb is still gonna be there if it doesn't get sent. It might be far from home, but it'll always be there if you really wanna go back. There are millions of climbs out there waiting to inspire you. If this one doesn't happen, there will be many others down the road. I'd certainly get upset if I have to leave a climb behind on a trip, and that's normal. But after a good sleep or two, I find that I'm usually able to look forward with positive eyes. Give it your all, have fun, take some pics to remember the trip. That hurt. I definitely wasn't expecting to ping off like that. Tip number 4 actually came from Lucy. Lucy has this incredible innate ability to, when she decides that she's ready to do a rock climb, she's able to flip off her mind and focus in on the task at hand. Me, on the other hand, I don't have that gift. There's some days when I'm sitting underneath a project ready to give send attempts and I have so much pre-send anxiety that it is really difficult for me to actually pull onto the rock. A few years ago during a session where I was really struggling, Lucy looked at me and said, "Alex, don't try to fight your send anxiety, just accept it. You're getting so worked up thinking about what could happen that it's making it really difficult for you to give the actual attempt. I want you to pull onto the rock right now, and it is completely okay if you fall on the very first move." So I pulled on, and essentially what happened was exactly what Lucy said would happen. I gave a really terrible try, and the next one I believe was pretty bad too, but later in the session I did actually end up sending the boulder. So that piece of advice is one that I continue repeating today. That hurts. That fall is not fun. Tip number 5, when possible, avoid projecting when feeling burnt out. And not just burnt out from your project or climbing, but life in general. I've noticed that when I'm going through kind of those rough patches where I'm not sleeping very well, or I have a heavy workload, I'm feeling stressed from the day-to-day, that I tend to be much more prone to having anxiety when it comes to climbing on my project. One of the biggest telltale signs that it might not be the best moment to try one of my projects is when I start thinking about that climb, it starts creating kind of these negative emotions. When I notice this starting to happen, I'll either shift lanes and focus in on another project for a little while, or I'll allow myself to give a session on the project with the understanding that I will only continue the session if I'm able to successfully do all the moves warming up, and I will end the session immediately as soon as I start to notice a rising sense of negativity. What I want to avoid here is kind of creating that negative sentiment towards a climb so that when I do return in the future, I'll feel refreshed and ready to give it my all. Tip number 6, focus on controlling what you can and not on what you can't. In gymnastics, you are trained to have complete control over the movements that you're doing at all times. I can think of a handful of moves I learned when I was in my freshman year of high school, and by the time that I reached the end of my college career and retired, I had spent 10 years doing those skills and had probably done them thousands and thousands of times. The gym that you go to every day is the same, the apparatus you're training on are the same, and by the time you're ready to perform, it just feels like you're going through the motions. Whereas in climbing, when we're working through that process of trying to send the project, There are factors that we have absolutely no control over. For example, if you're in an outdoor area like this, you aren't able to control the environmental factors like the temperature, the wind, the sun. There might be other limiting factors like at the rock gym and they're going to reset the wall where your project's on, or you choose your project in an outdoor area that's really, really far from home. For me, I try to look for certain factors that I am able to have some control over. I like to keep my hardest projects as close to home as possible. By doing this, my mind knows that if I have a bad day, that I'm able to kind of control the number of sessions that I'm able to put into that project. The project that I'm trying today actually requires a ton of pads, but that's a factor that I was able to control myself because I bit the bullet and made a nasty hike in with the pads myself. Baby. Si, senor. Woohoo. Amazing. I'm so stoked. I did not think that that was gonna happen. Right before I pulled on, I was thinking about my last tip, which is knowing when to let go and walk away. You can see the sun is setting here in Pas de La Casa, and it is not the easiest hike out with all the pads that I've got. But I was able to relax and take in Lucy's advice of just pull on and give it what I got and enjoy the climb, and today it worked. If there's a piece of advice that you think that I missed on dealing with sin anxiety, definitely drop that in the comments below, and we'll see you guys in the next one.